What if you could reach a state of being where no one and nothing could ever truly shake you again? Not with harsh, cutting words, not with the cold, punishing silence of withdrawal, not even with the deep, personal sting of betrayal. The reality is that most men walk through their entire lives in a state of being easily provoked, their inner peace held hostage by external events. A single disrespectful comment made in passing, a broken promise from someone they trusted, a simple, frustrating delay in their carefully laid plans, and suddenly they are emotionally hijacked. They are consumed by anger, steeped in bitterness, or completely drained of their vital energy. Not because the world is inherently and uniquely cruel to them, but because they have never been taught and have never taken the time to learn the critical art of mastering their own emotional reactions. But the ancient Stoic philosophers knew something profound, a truth that our modern world has largely forgotten. Real, unassailable power does not belong to the man who shouts the loudest. It belongs to the man who possesses the ability to stay perfectly calm under immense pressure. Genuine mental strength is not about external force or domination. It is about impeccable internal control. And this journey of self-control begins with the embrace of one simple yet utterly unshakable truth. You do not have to react. Your response is always a choice. In this video, you are going to learn, step by step, how to build stoic emotional control from the ground up. You will discover how to stop letting other people push your buttons and how to protect your inner peace with the fierce determination of a man who answers to no one's chaos but his own. You will come to understand why the practice of consciously lowering your expectations of others is not a sign of weakness, but a profound expression of wisdom. You will see why choosing silence in the face of provocation is not an act of surrender, but a sophisticated strategy. You will learn that your emotions are not the enemy to be vanquished, but that your automatic, unthinking reactions to them can be your greatest adversary. If you have ever felt like people take your calm demeanor for granted, or that the circumstances of life constantly pull you off your center and into a state of imbalance, please know that you are not alone in this struggle. But today, right now, that cycle ends. This is not about temporary motivation. This is about permanent transformation. Stay with me. What you are about to hear has the potential to fundamentally shift how you deal with everything life throws your way. If this message speaks to you on a deeper level, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and share it with someone else in your life who needs to hear this truth. Because true strength is not loud, it is steady, calm, and unwavering. And from this point forward, nothing and no one gets to control your peace ever again. The first principle: make self-control your impenetrable shield. There exists a critical defining moment, often small and almost forgettable, when a man unconsciously gives away his personal power. Someone interrupts him while he is speaking, someone openly mocks him in a social setting, someone deliberately ignores his contributions, and internally a storm immediately begins to brew. His chest tightens with tension, his jaw clenches subconsciously, and he begins to speak louder and more forcefully than is necessary. Just like that, in an instant, his hard-won calm is gone. Not because the other person was inherently stronger or more powerful, but because he chose to react. And in that visceral, automatic reaction, he surrendered his own power. We often make the critical mistake of conflating reaction with strength. We are culturally conditioned to believe that the man who roars back immediately is the powerful one. But the truth is far more nuanced and far colder. Real power is not found in the noise you make. It is found in the silence you consciously choose to hold. Self-control, in the Stoic sense, is not the absence of emotion or the suppression of feeling. It is the steadfast refusal to be ruled by those emotions. You do not need to become numb or detached from your human experience. You need to become precise and intentional with your responses. Anger is a primal instinct. It is fast, it is loud, it is hot. and it is incredibly dangerous. It feels like decisive action in the moment, but it almost invariably leads to long-lasting regret. When someone insults you, and you immediately explode in response, they win a subtle victory because they successfully got to you. They dictated your internal state, and without you even realizing it, you willingly let them write your emotional script for you. A man who is easily provoked is a man who has built no psychological walls and maintains no emotional boundaries. His emotions become public property. Anyone can walk into his mental space, press the right button, and effectively own him for that moment. Now, I want you to imagine another man. He hears the very same insult directed at him, but internally nothing shifts. His breath remains deep and steady. His gaze does not flinch or waver. He is not suppressing a reaction through sheer force of will. He has mastered his impulses because he has trained for this exact moment. He knows, on a fundamental level, that true emotional control is not about appearing tough to the outside world. It is about not giving strangers and adversaries the keys to your own inner peace. This is the essence of Stoic power. It is not about ego or pride. It is about taking full ownership of your time, your energy, and your precious emotional space. You have probably experienced this phenomenon before. You are driving in traffic and someone aggressively cuts you off. Your pulse immediately spikes. Harsh, reactive words rise to your lips. And for what? They are already gone, disappearing down the road. But now you are left tense, distracted, and emotionally off balance. That is the real hidden cost of an uncontrolled reaction. You continue to pay for it long after the moment itself has passed. The Stoic man understands this economic reality of emotions, so he consciously pauses. He allows the urge to react to arise, but he does not let it take over. He takes a deep breath. He remembers that the external world does not owe him perfect order or polite behavior. His only true control lies within his own mind and his chosen responses. Most people live their entire lives in a state of survival mode, perpetually ready to defend, to prove themselves, to retaliate against perceived slights. But that defensive posture inherently weakens you. It places your core identity and self-worth into the hands of other people's actions. If they offend you, you feel compelled to respond. If they praise you, you smile and feel validated. You are no longer grounded in your own values. You are reactive. And a reactive man is essentially a slave to the world's unpredictable mood swings. So how do you actually build this psychological shield? You start with the deliberate, conscious pause. When you feel triggered, make a rule. Do not speak immediately. Do not move impulsively. Simply feel the emotional wave inside you rise up and make the choice not to ride it. Observe it with curiosity. Acknowledge its presence, but refuse to obey its demands. That tiny pause is where your true power resides. It is the critical space where you break the lifelong pattern of stimulus reaction. Over time, with consistent practice, you will become less automatically reactive and more intentionally composed. You will stop fighting noise with more noise. You will stop chasing a sense of justice in every small, meaningless conflict. You will begin to protect your mental and emotional energy as if it were your lifeblood, because in a very real sense, it is. This practice is not about becoming passive or avoiding necessary conflict. A Stoic man does not ignore genuine injustice, but he possesses the wisdom to know when to act decisively and when to simply let go. He knows with clarity when to speak up and when his silence will carry far more force and meaning. He carefully chooses his battles based on his values, not his ego. And when he does choose to engage, he does so with calm clarity, not with heated emotion. You do not need to constantly prove your strength to others. You need to own it so completely that it becomes undeniable. The loudest man in the room is often the one who lacks the most internal control. The quiet one, the calm one, the one who does not flinch under pressure. That is the man people truly feel and intuitively respect. From this moment forward, Make it your practice to let your first instinct not be reaction, but stillness. Let that stillness become your deepest habit. Let calm become your unshakable reputation. When you finally master that, you will become truly untouchable. Not because the world stops testing you, it never will, but because it can no longer reach what it once controlled. The second principle: lower your expectations of others. You keep finding yourself disappointed by people because you keep expecting far too much from them. That is the subtle trap, and it begins quietly, almost invisibly, with a single thought. The thought that someone should know better, that they should do more, that they should understand you without you having to explain yourself. You expect them to intuitively say the right thing, to consistently appreciate you, to automatically respect your boundaries without ever being told. But when they inevitably fail to live up to these unspoken expectations, you feel it deeply. Frustration, anger, and even a sense of betrayal. You start to believe on a narrative level that people are constantly failing you, but the truth is both simpler and harder to accept. They are not failing you. They are simply being who they are. The pain you experience does not primarily come from their behavior. It comes from your own expectation that they would be someone else. An expectation is essentially a silent, invisible contract that you wrote in your own mind, but that no one else ever saw, agreed to, or signed. You thought a friend would automatically defend you in a difficult situation. A partner would be endlessly patient with your flaws. A coworker would recognize your extra effort without prompting, but they didn't. And in that gap between what you hoped for and what you actually received, your inner peace disappeared. That gap is the fertile ground where resentment grows and thrives. You start to carry the heavy weight of what you wish someone would be, and that weight begins to crush your spirit. The Stoics did not waste their precious time and energy blaming other people for being exactly who they were. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius would wake up and actively remind himself that throughout his day, he would meet the ungrateful, the arrogant, the dishonest, and the unreliable. He did this not because he was a negative pessimist, but because he was a realistic pragmatist who wanted to be prepared. When you consciously accept the full spectrum of human nature, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you stop demanding perfection from imperfect people. You stop handing your inner peace over to the nearest disappointment. You don't expect silence from a raging storm or clarity from a confused mind. You learn through practice to see people as they truly are, not as you wish or need them to be. Imagine walking into a room expecting absolutely nothing from anyone. You don't assume the waiter will be polite. You don't assume the driver will be calm. You don't assume your friend will remember your birthday. You simply observe what is. You engage with reality as it presents itself. You respond to situations appropriately, but you do not react from a place of disappointed expectation. In doing this, you free yourself from the invisible leash of assumption. You are no longer shocked or derailed when someone disappoints you, because you have let go of the idea that they owe you something they never actually promised you. That emotional freedom is subtle, but it changes absolutely everything. Most men tragically tie their inner peace directly to how other people behave. A stranger's momentary rudeness can ruin their entire morning. A family member's silence can trigger weeks of internal tension and stress. But what if you could untie that knot? What if you stopped expecting other people to deliver your peace to you, neatly wrapped in a bow? What if you stopped demanding that broken, imperfect people act like whole, perfect ones? That is precisely where Stoic wisdom breathes and comes alive. It meets reality on reality's own terms. It doesn't demand fairness from people who don't even have a clear concept of what fairness means. It doesn't ask for deep understanding from those who are still at war with themselves. It simply says, meet people exactly where they are, and do not let their limitations move you from your own center. Here is a practical exercise you can start right now. Think of one person in your life who consistently disappoints you, a friend, a colleague, a relative. Ask yourself this mirroring question. Am I truly upset because of what they did, or am I upset because of what I thought they should have done? Write the answer down. Say it out loud. Let that question become a daily mirror you hold up to your own mind. Because in that moment of honest reflection, you will see the truth with clarity. You weren't betrayed. You were just assuming too much. Lowering your expectations does not mean becoming cold, cynical, or disconnected from others. It means becoming clear-eyed and realistic. It is not the death of hope, it is the birth of true understanding. You do not need to stop loving people or caring for them. You need to stop letting your hopes for them become the very weapon they use to hurt you, even unintentionally. Begin today with this new mantra: I will see others as they are, not as I wish them to be. I will no longer beg the rain to be sunshine. I will build a shelter within myself instead. That is Stoic freedom. Not freedom from others, but freedom from the burden of needing them to be something they are not. The third principle: practice indifference to provocation. Some people in this world do not genuinely want peace. They actively want your reaction. They poke, they prod, they push your boundaries, and they wait with anticipation for you to explode, because that is how they feel a sense of control. When you lose your temper, they win a small victory. Not because they are stronger or wiser than you, but because they have successfully dragged you down into their chaos. The moment you react, you step into their frame, you play by their rules, and you let them decide who you become in that moment. And that is the real loss. Not the insult itself, not the argument that follows, but the fact that you gave them access to your center. In the Stoic sense, indifference is not apathy, is not about ignoring genuine injustice or pretending that something doesn't hurt when it does. Indifference is a disciplined practice. It means you do not let anything that does not truly deserve your energy actually take it from you. You consciously choose where your mind rests. You decide who and what gets access to your attention. You protect your focus as if it was sacred, because it is. Every time you let a fool provoke you into a reaction, you are essentially abandoning your own throne to go fight them in the mud on their terms. Think back to the last time someone successfully got under your skin. Maybe it was a stranger on the road who gestured rudely. Maybe it was a colleague who deliberately disrespected you in a meeting. Maybe it was a family member who always seems to know exactly what to say to trigger you. You felt the fire rise in your chest, the words form on your tongue, the tension grip your body. That was the critical moment of testing. And most people, unfortunately, fail this test. They speak too soon. They move too fast. They give away the very thing they are trying to protect, their power. Now imagine a different outcome. The same insult is thrown your way, the same provocation is presented. But this time, you pause. You feel the familiar urge to react, but you consciously choose not to. You let the words land in the space between you, but you do not allow them to enter your psyche. You observe the situation with detachment, and then you make a decision. This is not worth my energy, and you walk away, not in retreat, but in command of yourself. That is not weakness, that is true dominance. The man who doesn't flinch holds the room. The man who stays calm owns the moment. Epictetus, the great Stoic teacher, said, "If someone tries to hurt you and you don't accept the injury, then they have failed." Pain, in a psychological sense, requires your permission to stick. Insults need your agreement to have power. But when you meet their noise with your stillness, when you stop responding to every little push, you rise above their reach. You become untouchable. Not because you fight harder, but because you refuse to fight on their terms at all. This does not mean you become passive or avoid all conflict. You still take necessary action when the situation truly calls for it. You set firm boundaries. You speak your truth with clarity, but you consciously choose the battlefield. You do not allow yourself to be dragged into every petty war that someone else declares. You don't waste time explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You don't argue with noise. You simply walk through it, undisturbed. That is Stoic emotional strength in its purest form. The next time someone tries to provoke you, I want you to try this simple technique. Pause for just 3 seconds. Just 3. In that silence, feel everything that arises. The anger, the embarrassment, the urge, but act on nothing. In that pause, ask yourself, do I really want to give this person this much control over my state of being? Then, based on that answer, decide your course. That tiny pause is the space where real character is formed. That stillness is what separates the truly strong from the merely reactive. Train this muscle daily in small moments, at the grocery store, in traffic, during tense conversations. Refuse to respond just for the fleeting satisfaction of feeling better in the moment. Let your silence speak for you. Let your calm unsettle them. The man who feels the need to shout has already lost something within himself. The man who doesn't blink makes everyone else around him shift uncomfortably. Let them talk, let them mock, let them try to get a rise out of you. But you protect your energy as if it were gold, because in the end, it is. When you finally learn to no longer react to every provocation, you gain something rare and valuable. You gain clarity, you gain peace, and most importantly, you gain yourself back. Start now. Find one situation today where you would normally snap and consciously choose not to. Smile internally, breathe deeply, move on with your day. That is how a Stoic wins. Quietly, completely, without ever playing their game. The fourth principle, treat every situation as a character test. You are not being punished by the universe. You are being prepared for something greater. That moment of sharp irritation, that challenge that caught you completely off guard, it is not random chaos. It is a mirror being held up to your face. Life is showing you, with brutal honesty, who you truly are when things stop going your way. Most people flinch from this mirror. They complain loudly. They ask, why is this happening to me? But the Stoic man asks a different, more empowering question. What is this moment calling me to build within myself right now? Pain, in the Stoic view, is not personal. It is instructional. Every frustration is a weight for your character to lift and grow stronger from. Every setback is a forge for your discipline to be tempered in. But this only happens if you stop reacting blindly and start responding wisely. It only works if you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as the chief architect of your own inner strength. The world itself does not get easier. You just get progressively better at facing it with equanimity. When someone disrespects you at work, when your partner snaps at you without warning, when a plan you've worked on for months crumbles right before the finish line, you are standing in the gym of life, and you have two choices. You can either let that moment shrink you, make you cynical and weak, or you can let it sharpen you, refine you, and make you more resilient. Most men get angry and look for someone to blame. A Stoic simply breathes, observes the situation with clarity, learns the lesson it offers, and then decides, I will not waste this pain, I will use it. The truth is that ease and comfort do not shape character. Stress and discomfort do. That difficult conversation you dread, that betrayal that hurt you, that delay that frustrated you, they are not obstacles blocking your path. They are the path itself. But you only see it that way when you stop running from them and start using them as fuel for your growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private meditations, "The fire turns what it consumes into flame." That is not just poetic language. It is a practical training manual for the mind. The very thing that was supposed to break you can become part of your fuel, your light, your strength. It is easy to be kind when everyone is being kind to you. It is easy to be calm when the world is cooperating with your plans. But when someone is yelling in your face, when life throws a completely unexpected curveball, when your pride is deeply bruised, that is when you see your true character. That is when your stated values are no longer theoretical. They are tested under fire. And that is when your strength truly counts, not in comfort but under pressure. And the man who can hold himself steady under pressure is the man who can walk through anything life throws at him. Do not wait for the world to make it easier for you to grow. It won't. What you can do is change the way you perceive difficulty. Stop seeing it as a disruption to your peace and start seeing it as an invitation to evolve. You are being invited to step into a stronger, more capable version of yourself. And you do not need a perfect, easy life to do that. You just need to treat every uncomfortable moment as training. Even the small ones, especially the small ones. The delayed email, the cold look from a stranger, the traffic jam, that is where the real work is done. Quietly, daily, intentionally. Here is how you apply this principle starting today. The next time you feel your frustration levels rising, catch that feeling early. Don't try to run from it or suppress it. Name it. Call it out. This is frustration. Then ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to shape in me? What muscle is being exercised here? And then decide on purpose how you will respond. Will you raise your voice and lose control? Or will you stand still and build endurance? Will you argue pointlessly? Or will you refine your ability to stay composed under fire? Strength is not something you can just switch on when you need it. It is something you practice in moments just like this one, not by pretending you don't feel anything, but by choosing not to let what you feel own you. You are allowed to struggle. You are human, but you are not required to collapse. You are allowed to feel the burn of difficulty, but you are also capable of turning that burn into fuel for your growth. So the next time life pushes back against you, don't take it as a personal insult. Take it as your opportunity, your chance to train what no one else can see. Your character, your command, your quiet, unassailable power. Conclusion: the unshakable core. Every man wants real strength. Not the loud, performative kind that seeks attention and validation, but the silent, deep kind that cannot be shaken by external events. What you have encountered in this video is not abstract theory. It is practical, daily practice. It is the quiet discipline of emotional control, the cultivated ability to pause, to think, to choose your response, and to protect your inner peace as if your life depends on it. Because in many very real ways, it does. When you begin to master your reactions, when you lower your expectations of others to a realistic level, and when you treat every frustration as a test of your evolving character, a fundamental shift occurs within you. You stop being a slave to your emotions. You stop being pulled in every direction by the noise of other people, by chaotic circumstances, by the unpredictability of life. You start living with a clarity and purpose that is entirely your own. The Stoics were not supernatural saints. They were men who struggled with the same human emotions that you do, but they trained their minds daily through rigorous self-reflection, through the practice of stillness, and through the deliberate choice of response over reaction. And now you have the opportunity to do the same. You do not need perfect conditions to begin this work. You just need presence. You need practice. You need to remember that inner peace is not something you find out in the world. It is something you build within yourself, habit by habit, choice by choice. So today, start small. When someone says something rude or provocative, don't respond immediately. When your carefully laid plans suddenly shift, don't complain or lament. When discomfort shows up at your door, meet it with calm awareness, not with panic. Train your emotional strength like you would train a muscle, with consistency and respect. Let every challenge you face become your practice ground for growth, and over time, the world will remain as loud and chaotic as ever, but you will not. You will be the calm within the storm. I invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. What moment recently tested your peace? How did you choose to respond? Let this community space become a living journal of your growth, a reflection of the man you are consciously becoming. Remember, True calm is not the absence of conflict. It is the refusal to surrender your mind to chaos. Hold that truth close, live it every day, carry it with you quietly but unshakably. Subscribe now for your daily dose of Stoicism.